How you doing, everyone? Scott back again with another album ranking video. As you can see, this one's for Ozzy Osbourne. 11 studio albums, and this proved much harder than I thought it was going to be. I kind of took a run through his later stuff, his like 2000s onwards albums, and I was really surprised. I kind of sat down, really took the albums in, and none of them disappointed me. So it was really hard to kind of figure out this list and where things were going to go. I thought it'd be a good time to kind of jump in because he's just released his latest album and it's probably going to be his last. So I thought, why not just bite the bullet and rank the studio albums. So like I said, much harder than I thought. Things were going up and down and sideways, but I've now got my list and I'm going to start with number 11, 2010's Scream. So by no means a bad album. I have to put that out there. I really enjoyed this album, but I had to put something at the bottom. This is kind of the way I was going with these albums. Some great stuff, really heavy, great riffs. I mean, it does have a few bum tracks, but overall it's a pretty decent album. So yeah, that's coming in at number 11. Next up is an album that I thought would actually rank much higher, but this is 1995's Osmosis. Don't get me wrong, some great tracks on this. Perry Mason was one of the singles off the album. I Just Want You, Ghost Behind My Eyes, Thunder Underground, My Little Man, Old LA Tonight rounds off the album, which is a great song. But when I listened to it again, it was just really, it was quite dark, really slow in areas I thought could maybe just get picked up a little bit. But overall, a good album, but it is where it is because it's just a bit dark, a bit slow at times. So, but some great melodies in there. Next up is going to be the latest release from this year, Ordinary Man. A lot of people I think would put this at the bottom of the pile, but I really enjoyed this album. Much slower, kind of toned down Ozzy, but with songs like Straight to Hell, Under the Graveyard, Scary Little Green Men, It's a Raid, which has Post Malone, isn't the greatest song, but you still get that kind of like kind of hitting you between the eyes kind of Ozzy, but much slower songs as well. But I really enjoyed it, and I know it's had a lot of flack, but I quite like it, so that's where it's going. Next up is going to be Black Rain. Just a solid album. Songs like I Don't Want to Stop is probably the song I knew the most off the album. Black Rain, Lay Your World on Me is a great song. The Almighty Dollar is probably the worst song on the album. I didn't really care for that one. 11 Silver is an absolute rocker. Here For You, Countdown's Begun, Trapdoor, just great songs. And I do suggest if you're an Ozzy fan and you're not really overly familiar with these kind of later albums, I would take a run over them again because I think they're really, really decent. Just sit down and just take the albums in. Really, really good. Next up is from 2001 and it's Down to Earth. This one really surprised me. I thought this would be like right at the bottom, but it's got some really great tracks on it. You do get that kind of classic Ozzy coming through on this album, with the kind of melodies and stuff. Songs like Facing Hell, Dreamer was the hit off it. Junkie, Running Out of Time, Black Illusion, just some really great tracks. And there's not really any massively standout tracks on it, but it's pretty solid all the way through. So that is 2001's Down to Earth. We're kind of into the classic stuff now, so I'll probably get shot for this one, but number 6, Diary of a Madman from 1981. Don't get me wrong, it's a great album, but I just prefer the top 5 better. Over the Mountain, great song. Flying High Again, You Can't Kill Rock and Roll, Believer, Little Dolls. I mean, it's a solid classic Ozzy album. Sadly the last one to feature Randy Rhoads, but yeah, good stuff. So that is coming in at number 6. Number 5 might be a bit of a surprise as well. It's the debut Blizzard of Oz from 1980. This is the first album I ever heard from Ozzy, so it's always kind of got that place. But songs like Crazy Train, Goodbye to Romance, Suicide Solution, Mr. Crowley, No Bone Movies, Steal Away the Night. The bonus track on this is actually you looking at me, looking at you. That's a great song as well. So it's got to come somewhere. So it's number 5 on my list. Next up, number 4 is going to be 1989's No Rest for the Wicked. This featured the debut of Zakk Wylde on guitar. A lot of people get put off by Zakk Wylde's playing, but I quite like it. I quite like all the pinched harmonics and stuff. Great songs like Miracle Man, Devil's Daughter, Crazy Babies, Bloodbath in Paradise, Fire in the Sky, great song, Tattooed Dancer, Demon Alcohol. It's just an absolute classic. So that is number 4. Coming in at number 3 is 1986's Shot in the Dark. This is kind of where people say he kind of went through his kind of hair metal or kind of glam metal stage. I wouldn't say so. He dyed his hair blonde. I mean, that's pretty much as far as it went. Songs on this that are brilliant: Lightning Strikes, Killer of Giants, Shot in the Dark, awesome song. The Ultimate Sin title track, great song. Secret Loser. Never really cared for Thank God for the Bomb. That's probably the weakest song on the album, but overall, absolutely awesome, featuring Jake E. Lee. Coming in at number 2 and about to give away my number 1. Bark at the Moon, 1983. Just awesome. Definitely a go-to album for me if I'm wanting a bit of Ozzy. Bark at the Moon, You're No Different, Now You See Me, Now You Don't, or Now You See It, Now You Don't, Rock and Roll Rebel, Centre of Eternity, So Tired, Slow Down, Waiting for Darkness. Awesome. Definitely an album I go to a lot if I'm looking for a bit of Ozzy. 1983, this saw Jake E. Lee come in on guitar. So that's number 2. So number 1, I'm sure this is a lot of people's number 1. 1991's No More Tears. If I want Ozzy, I go to this. It's just phenomenal, this album. Mr. Tinker Train, Mama I'm Coming Home, Desire, No More Tears, Hellraiser, awesome. Time After Time, Zombie Stomp, a bit silly but I like it. This is definitely my go-to Ozzy. And I know it's not Blizzard of Oz or Diary of a Madman or Bark at the Moon, but I mean, they're obviously all classics, but this one just does it for me. It's absolutely awesome. So that is my number 1, No More Tears, Ozzy. So, like I said, that was harder than I thought, but I would definitely recommend, if you are an Ozzy fan and if you're not overly familiar with his later stuff, go back over it, because I was really surprised, especially with Down to Earth and Scream. I just thought they were great albums. So it does turn out I like every single Ozzy album, but you do have to rank them in some way. So that is my list. Yes, I'm sure your list is different, like I mentioned in my last video about Metallica. We all differ in opinion, but if you do have a different list, post it down below, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys very soon. Cheers.